Back when I was in university, I had a friend who joked that limbo would be a terrible place for him to be, because he would be surrounded by nothing but screaming babies. While his take was a bit off, in that as a baptized adult, limbo wouldn't be an option for him, the idea of limbo, in which would be a place of natural bliss for those who die without being baptized, but before they had reached the age of reason, has been a part of Catholic theological discussion for centuries. Despite all of this discussion, the Church has never definitively defined whether limbo exists or doesn't exist. Today, I would like to posit that limbo as a state that existed for the just prior to the resurrection and ascension of Christ did exist, but that limbo as a place of natural bliss, natural happiness for those who die today without baptism before the age of reason does not exist. Why? Number one, it's important to establish the idea that, and the reasoning why, I would say limbo did indeed exist prior. If we look at the story of the rich man and Lazarus in the scriptures, in the New Testament, in the Gospel of Luke, Luke 16, we see that this was before the resurrection, before the ascension, so heaven was still closed. And we see that the rich man was in a place of torment, and Lazarus was on the bosom of Abraham, where he was fed, he had comfort, but it doesn't talk about the glory of the beatific vision. It's just that he was in the state of natural happiness. This idea of a state where the just who died prior to the resurrection would be awaiting the resurrection and the ascension has gone back centuries within Catholic theological thought. Also, St. Peter, in his first letter of St. Peter, chapter 3, goes and talks about how Jesus went to preach to those who were imprisoned. So he went to the dead to announce the good news. We see this in the Apostles' Creed when we say that Jesus descends into hell. Not hell as in the place of torment, of eternal separation from God, but hell as in the place of the dead. Even our tradition, our iconography, supports this idea. Because when it says in the Easter icon shows Jesus taking Adam and Eve out of the grave, out of this limbo. Therefore, limbo is a temporary state of the just, of natural happiness, unable to achieve heaven, is certainly a part of Catholic theology. However, Pius IX did say that those who die prior to the use of reason, who commit no personal sins, will not be actively punished. So God is not out to cause pain or suffering to those who, through no fault of their own, were unable to be baptized and unable to make that choice. Also, there's the idea that God remedies the physical order as well as the moral order. Again, if we go to the story of the rich man and Lazarus, yes, the moral order was restored, but also the physical order. In which case, for those who die prior to baptism, typically through abortion, they weren't even given the chance for life, and therefore that could be remedied as well. Thirdly, children, little babies particularly, love in a way that we as adults forget how to do. They just love instinctively, and they're drawn to love. God, as we know, as it says in John, in the letters of John, God is love. And because of this, I posit that they are drawn naturally to this love, and they go to this love. In the scriptures, Jesus says, "Let the little children come to me." So he welcomes those who come to him in this very natural, very childlike way. Therefore, and since God is not bound by his sacraments, he can do pretty much whatever he wants. The idea of him bringing those little children who are drawn to him, who come to him, he wants them to be with him, to receive the beatific vision, is indeed very much in line with the scriptures and with the church tradition. Therefore, I posit that limbo does not currently exist.